What's up, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Between the Cons. My name is Kris, and with me today, Kris Too.
Huh? What? Oh, hey, guys.
I legitimately thought that, like, you didn't hear me say, let's get started, because you've been cutting in and out, like, the whole time.
I'm just sitting here on a recording with you, just hanging out, and then you started recording. I wasn't ready, but I'm here.
I told you we were starting. You agreed to it.
That's like your opinion, man.
It's not my opinion. It's fact. I literally have it recording, and you agreed to that recording, so it is admissible in court.
Whatever, man. I don't believe in courts or lawyers.
Oh my god. Anyways, we're really glad that you people came and decided to listen to our episode today. I promise it's not going to be Kris Too on a super loose leash, just saying whatever he feels like saying. You
can't promise that.
I can't promise that, no. But we are going to be talking about some news today. We've got some fun headlines for you. So we're going to be running through those. But before we do, check us out on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Between the Cons. And if you haven't already, review the podcast on the podcast app on the iTunes store. However you listen to your podcasts, if you do it in your computer or in your pocket,
review us in your pocket.
Review us from your pocket. Don't look. Just type out a message in your pocket and send it, and let's see what it says.
You kids today don't know this, but when we were kids, you could actually do that on a phone.
Oh man, you totally could. But you had to hit
in class on the keypad.
Text messages were there was no like I'm sending a long text message garbage because like one like tweet sized text required like 600 button presses.
You had to click 4 times just for an S.
And you used S's a lot. And it was pre T9 predictive text. Which I don't even know what T9 stands for because I wasn't old enough to really care. It stands for text on 9 keys. Interesting.
Oh, that makes
perfect sense.
That makes perfect sense, and yet still not intuitive.
Still not intuitive at all. But anyways, let's stop talking about stupid things, and let's talk about super, super cool things. So here comes Pineapple. Sit tight. We'll be right back.
We're going to have a pineapple situation. What should I do? Pineapple. The word that cannot be spoken. Pineapple.
Just want to say pineapple. If
Pineapples are fun. My dad used to throw them at me.
Pineapple.
Seriously? Wow.
All right, so let's first talk about, before we talk about anything else, that new Avengers trailer.
Wait, there's a new Avengers trailer?
The new Avengers trailer.
I haven't seen it.
Shut up. Yes, you have. Shut up. Yes, you have.
You shut your stupid mouth.
If there's anybody on this planet who's seen it, it's you.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
it came out like the day after our last Pineapple episode aired, and it was like, well, know exactly the first thing we're talking about. Oh, right. Man. The emotions in this trailer, guys.
It's so heavy.
Yeah, like if you haven't watched it by now, I don't know what to do with you, but seriously, like, people are questioning and wondering, what does this mean? What's going to happen? And we don't even know, but we're really excited. All the fights and all the emotions and more ominous voiceover from Thanos. And also, this is my big point that I wanted to bring up. We watched the trailer and we got to see a lot of cool stuff. We got to see more of the fighting. We got to see more of we got to see some of our heroes in dire moments, like Thor getting his head crushed by Thanos or something. Maybe just the scalp massage
or something.
Doctor Strange getting magic acupuncture in his face.
Yeah, it didn't seem comfortable. I'll say that.
No, and also that awesome final moment where Thanos brings his gigantic like human-sized hand, or not human-sized, hand the size of a man.
There we go.
Down on Captain America, and Captain America grabs it, and he's got that look on his face, like, really, serious? You're doing this? So
you doing this?
Yeah.
Or when he crushes the freaking Tesseract.
Oh yes, and then he.
Oh my gosh.
I'm guessing then he puts it in his gauntlet. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff. But of course, this raises more questions. Of course, the big question is we see a lot of our heroes in very serious situations, and the questions of who's gonna die.
Yeah, and we see one of the Four Horsemen.
Yeah,
which is super exciting. Like, there's been a lot of talk about the Four Horsemen, but we haven't really seen them yet.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think that's super cool.
Yeah, we're seeing like we see Tony where he flies off towards that giant spinning portal thing in the sky, and then later on we see him when Thanos says, "I hope they remember you," and his suit is just like completely torn off of his body. So what does that mean? Is he talking to him? Is Tony going to eat it in the first in this first movie? Who knows? We don't know. And the thing that's interesting, because we got the trailer opens up with the voiceover from Gamora and
which
James
is just
Gunn.
Awesome.
Or I'm not James Gunn, sorry. But the Russo brothers were talking to Fandango in an interview, and they asked him which characters are the focus of the movie, and they said, well, first Thanos, duh. And
right.
And interestingly, they even said that this movie is kind of from his perspective. Like, it's
interesting.
It's almost a movie that's his movie, and we see the other characters come in. But then on top of that, they said there are two other characters that carry the main plot points of the movie, or the main story, I guess, and that is Thor and Gamora.
Which is fantastic, and I am so on board for that.
Yeah, especially, and it makes sense because like we see what I'm guessing is a flashback to when Thanos first, I guess, takes Gamora as a child. We see that shot of her, like a little green hand grabbing onto his gigantic purple hand.
Right.
Complementary colors, guys. But
Batman and the Joker.
Yes. But yeah, it'll be really interesting because it makes sense since Gamora was raised with Thanos that, I mean, she would at least have some perspective on who this guy is. So we don't really know. And what's great about this trailer is that we get to see a lot, and yet we still have so little context for what we're seeing. So,
and it makes
so
a
much
lot
of the
of
movie
sense.
Is still,
like, the more I'm sitting here thinking about it, like, so I didn't know about the Gamora and Thor thing until you just said it. But when I hear that, it makes a ton of sense because Gamora obviously raised by Thanos, so she would have a lot of insight on Thanos. But Thor, like, I think it was the first Thor movie, we saw the Infinity Gauntlet in, like, the Hall of Cool Stuff that Odin has. Actually, I think it might have been Dark World. I think it was Dark World.
You saw, like, the brief, like, glimpse, and then you saw it clearly, I think more clearly Dark World. And then
well, it's in the back. In the first one, it's in the background, and it's like all blurry and stuff.
Yeah.
But like Odin obviously took an interest in the Infinity Gauntlet, and if that's the case, and knowing that that's something that Thanos has been tracking down, like his entire existence, then it's something that's really interesting, and it introduces. We already know that Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight, who are two members of the Black Order and adoptive children of Thanos, are going to be in it. The guy that's torturing Doctor Strange in the trailer is Ebony Maw, another member of the Black Order, another adopted child of Thanos. So there's a lot that Gamora and Thor have to bring to the table from
just from a background perspective.
Yeah, just from a history lesson.
And it just makes sense that, I mean, Marvel's been going with these later movies, has been going more on the cosmic scale and cosmic realm. And I mean, Thor Ragnarok was all hanging out in space and on planets and stuff. So,
and teenage group.
And that's where, and that's where Thanos is from, is, you know, so
space.
It kind of makes sense that a lot of this has got to be in that cosmic realm. And it makes me wonder, is the Wakanda thing going to be the culmination when they first, like, is that going to be the final battle of this first movie where it they come to Earth for the first time, and our heroes are left kind of broken or in tatters or
and
whatever.
one of the things that the Russo brothers have said too is that characters that don't have as much spotlight in this movie are going to be more heavily in the spotlight for Avengers 4.
Yeah.
So, like, don't get, like, going into it, don't get butthurt if you don't get to see Spider-Man as much as you want, or you don't get to see Teenage Groot as much as you want, or, like,
they'll be there.
Or whoever. Like, they will get their turn, but, like, you got to remember, we've got, like, something like 60-some-odd characters at this point.
Yeah. And, I mean, this movie's going to be, what, like 2 hours and 20 minutes?
221, I think.
Something like that.
I keep throwing that number out there, like, with the most confidence. This is the second episode I've thrown 221 out. Just absolutely confident, and I have no idea if that's even right. So I'm gonna look it up right now.
I read like somewhere recently like that was around because it was noteworthy because it was one of their longest movies.
Right.
It was like right up there with Black Panther.
Yeah, it's 236. That's not 221 at all.
It makes sense because this is going to be a big movie. Even the fact that they're going to have an Avengers 4, which is really going to be the sequel to Infinity War or the culmination.
Yeah,
or the
and
fallout,
I brought
whatever.
this up on the last episode. Is I see it happening, kind of like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows movies, where we're gonna get like one movie that's just like all build, and then right when they get to Earth, they're gonna like have a baby battle, and then something like he's gonna get the last Infinity Stone, he's gonna put it in his gauntlet, and then boom, end of movie.
Oh, I mean. I know that they're not like drawing totally from the Infinity Gauntlet story in the comics because of course they always like pick and choose and different pieces and put them together to its own thing, which is good. They shouldn't just do a straight up adaptation. It should be its own thing. But it would be really cool if the final shot was him putting the final stone in and then doing the shot from the comics where he's completed the gauntlet and it's just camera on the gauntlet and he snaps his fingers, flash of light. Cut to black,
and then it'll do like a the like the post-credit scene will be something like someone we haven't seen much, or maybe that's like the new Avengers that we saw at the end of Age of Ultron with Sam Wilson and Scarlet Witch and those guys. Ant-Man, we'll see those guys kind of come together and like be like the cavalry,
right?
But well, maybe not Scarlet Witch because we already saw her in the trailer. But I don't remember seeing Ant-Man. I don't remember seeing Falcon.
Like we saw Falcon in the background. Like
I don't remember seeing Bucky Barnes either, outside of like the Wakanda scenes.
Right. There's one shot that I want a nice HD print of, and it's the shot of the Hulkbuster with War Machine and Falcon flying behind him.
Yes.
Oh, it's like that is a comic frame right there. So anyway, we could talk about this the whole podcast, but we got other points we need to get to. I'm guessing our review is gonna have to be like an extra long episode.
It's gonna be super long.
Something because it's the culmination of this is exciting. So if you haven't seen the trailer, guys, go check out the trailer because it's awesome. We're like 2.5-3 weeks away from this. No, more than that.
Yeah, it's like 5 weeks.
5 weeks, but still not that long.
Yeah, because 27th.
Yeah.
And we've got 1 week left in March.
Let's do it. Ready.
Pumped.
Pineapple.
So while we're on the topic of the MCU,
sure.
I saw this thing today and it was awesome. So if you don't know who BossLogic is, look him up. He's on Instagram. He's a super talented artist. And he does stuff for like fan art for Marvel, for DC. He does like sports stuff. Whatever he feels like doing, really.
And it's all awesome.
And it's all fantastic. Like a lot of the things that you see like for like people playing certain characters in movies, like Emma Stone playing Poison Ivy. That's BossLogic. Or
like when it was first announced that Josh Brolin was going to be a Cable, BossLogic did a fan art of it, and it's
pretty spot on.
Yeah, basically looks like what he turned out to be.
Yeah, but he did this thing called The Last Shawarma. And it is an MCU inspired parody of The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. And it is amazing. It has so many gems. They're in like this little Greek restaurant, and like they're all around the table, and Tony has this like giant like rack of lamb in front of him, like on a platter. You've got Doctor Strange like magically playing with his drink and like his little tray, like just making them hover around in front of him. Stan Lee is in the background. I saw it on my phone, so I didn't get like a super good look, but it looked like he was shaving meat off of a rack of lamb, which was amazing. And then Valkyrie's like off to the side, like drinking out of a jug of booze. Warhammer looks like he is so ready to leave. He's like staring at the camera kind of thing, like breaking the fourth wall, just like get me out of here. But it is amazing, hilarious. It's solid artwork. If I were to be super critical, some of the lighting is off, but it looks really good nonetheless.
There's a reference to the fact that Hawkeye wasn't in the poster for the Avengers poster. There's a arrow in the wall off to the left that's sticking like a Post-it note to the wall that says "Save a seat."
Oh my gosh, that's amazing! I definitely did not see that.
That's my favorite.
But this thing is super amazing. Check it out if you haven't already. It's BossLogic on Twitter, or you can just Google The Last Shawarma, and you can certainly find it there. But yeah, check that out. It's neat. Pineapple.
So, Ava DuVernay? Yeah, sure. She just directed A Wrinkle in Time, which I have not seen. Have you seen it?
I had when I heard that Oprah was in it, I had about zero desire to go see it. Not that I have anything against Oprah's as an activist or like anything like that. I just don't like her as a person, and I don't like looking at her. She drives me crazy.
I mean, she would not have been my pick to act in this movie, but I don't personally care for.
Yeah, you don't. That's not what you get paid for.
She's a TV personality. She's not an actor. Whatever.
Exactly.
And also, like, I mean, again, so I have not seen A Wrinkle in Time. I know it hasn't gotten the greatest reviews, and
it's gotten pretty bad reviews, hasn't it?
Yeah, and honestly, it's not surprising to me, just because when you're adapting a book to a movie, you're gonna have a hard time because fitting all the book's materials into a movie is very difficult.
Especially such a weird book.
Yeah, it's a very. I mean, we're going to be talking about Ready Player One here in like a week,
right?
And we could be running into the same issue there. So anyway, but Ava DuVernay is still she's a good director, and the news just came out that she has actually been signed on to direct New Gods, a DC film adaptation of the New Gods.
Nice
storyline, which is really, really exciting.
Wow. Quick timeout on what is this girl's name? Ava DuVernay. Really quick run of her numbers on Rotten Tomato ratings: 80, 88, 97, 98, 96, 90, 40.
Yeah.
40 being A Wrinkle in Time. She does pretty solid work.
Yeah, and again, adapting a popular book to a movie is never an enviable task, because for every good one out there, there's like 10 bad ones. And
well, especially when you're more worried about the superstar cast and not worried about good filmmaking.
Sure. So
opinions.
So we've got them. Everyone does. But so A Wrinkle in Time aside, I mean, she's still she has a good track record with directing. And so, yeah, she's directing DC's New Gods. For those of you that don't know about New Gods, New Gods was a series that was created for DC by the legendary Jack Kirby, one of comics' greatest like greatest creators and who's made so many great characters and stories. He created the New Gods back in the 70s, and this was where we get the pantheon of like these larger than life creations. On we have the 2 planets of,
wasn't Darkseid created within the New Gods?
Yeah, we have the 2 planets of New Genesis and Apocalypse.
Oh,
New Genesis
you're getting there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. No. Yeah, dude, I mean, Darkseid is the one that everybody knows.
I have to show off like the little bit of DC trivia that I actually know.
Well, and interesting because we've been talking about Thanos. Originally, the story is Jack Kirby originally pitched this Darkseid-esque character to Marvel, and Marvel rejected it. And then it was right after that he took it to DC, and that's where he created Darkseid. And then Thanos came. Then they created Thanos like a year or 2 later. And Thanos
are we going to get in a rip-off fight right now?
I mean, it's not a direct copy of Darkseid by any means. They're still their own, but they're similar. They're similar-esque characters.
They're big old mean. They're big old meanies.
They want to conquer the universe, and they're big rock face and whatever.
And they're angry boys.
But in addition to Darkseid, we also have Highfather, who ruled New Genesis. And then there was Orion and Mr. Miracle and Big Barda. And I mentioned Big Barda because Ava DuVernay last year was asked on Twitter who her favorite comic book character was, and she said Big Barda. And it was like, oh, okay, cool, get it. Like interesting choice.
Okay.
But if she was in talks with DC a year ago, it kind of makes sense, especially because, if she's going to do a New Gods story, Big Barda is going to be a part of that.
Here's the question, though.
Yeah.
Do they go with pre-Final Crisis, Final Crisis, or New 52? Because if they go Final Crisis, we get Booster Gold.
True.
And that's what I need to make my life complete. That's all I'm saying.
And well, more so than you, our friend Justin Bridges would probably pee his pants.
He would show up at casting calls. Like he would travel across the country to show up at casting calls just to be on the same set as someone playing Booster Gold.
Sure.
I've never seen someone actually purchase multiple newspaper trades of a single character until I met Justin and he owned like 3 volumes of Booster Gold. I don't get it.
Yeah, and I personally don't either, but you know what? There's a character for everybody, and darn it if Booster Gold isn't for him. But
maybe we'll see Nathan Fillion, I guess.
Oh, please.
That wouldn't be the worst.
That would be the best.
Well, I don't know. Nathan Fillion doesn't want to do a Firefly because he's too old. He's not young enough to play a character. So
no, man.
I don't know. I feel he'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, this is all a part. I'm sure this is all part of DC trying to major course correct. And there's like, along with the story, I read a bunch of like really boring stuff that has to do with DC, like hiring new people to take over DC's film stuff and trying to basically right the ship. And there's been talk about the Flash movie being Flashpoint, so they can they can edit out of existence the bad movies and keep the few good things they like and
retcon.
So, which is fun, and you can honestly do the same thing with New Gods too, because there's a lot of stuff in New Gods
sure.
that's essentially universe reshaping. So we could do that. So who knows what this means, but Ava DuVernay's on top of this movie, and I'm sure we'll be getting some more information about this, and it's supposed to go into production starting, I believe, either late this year, early next year. So who knows? So something to check out. Really exciting because never thought I'd see that in the future.
You're welcome.
So, pineapple.
So I'm going to talk about Infinity War again.
Yeah.
So a Reddit user, man, I forgot to write down his name. I think it was like Joey One Up or something like that. Found a little Easter egg in Spider-Man Homecoming. In the scene where Peter goes to the corner store to get a sandwich, he also buys some gummy worms and he like puts them on the counter. And the camera like focuses on the gummy worms getting placed on the counter in the middle of a conversation between Peter and the shop owner, the guy behind the counter, which now that these things have come to light makes sense, but like kind of felt a little like unnecessary. Like I didn't need to see that he's buying gummy worms, but thank you. But the best buy date on those gummy worms is 3/16/18, which is the day that the Infinity War trailer dropped. So there are a lot of people that think it was like totally coincidental. But for me, it's like, one, we didn't need the camera to shift to the gummy worms.
Right. That was an intentional choice by the director, the cameraman. That was an intentional choice when they were editing the movie.
Well, and even still, like, what cameraman is going to focus on the gummy worms anyway? Like, nobody's thinking, like, all right, when we frame this shot, make sure you really get in there on those gummy worms. Because we want the world to know that the spider is eating worms. Like, that doesn't make sense. But it lingers, too. Like, it doesn't just, like, a quick shift down and then pops back up. It's there for, like, 2 seconds. Like, the camera shifts, like, as soon as the gummies hit the counter. And then it just hangs out. And then it switches back. Just long enough to catch the date, 3/16/18. But it was also, it's also Marvel. Like, how many little itty bitty tiny minute details have been put in just cause? Like, Marvel is the Pixar of live action when it comes to like little teeny tiny baby details.
And they've been throwing in details and Easter eggs since the beginning. And I think in the beginning it was just
since the beginning.
We're just it's fan service acknowledging, there's like one point where they mentioned Stephen Strange well before the movie ever came out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was oh yeah.
Well, even in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, they mention Ebony Maw.
Yeah, yeah.
That was what, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
4 years ago?
Way before not only before we knew about the Infinity War movie, that was before like the Russo brothers had been brought on, before the script ever had been written. So
yeah,
but you just never know how far up. Like, did they have this general plan already marked out?
Yeah, and my next pineapple point is going to be about tiny minute details in the MCU. But I just thought this one was cool. Like, that's super clever, and no one caught it.
Yeah,
no one caught it until after it dropped, and some dude was just like, I think I'm gonna rewatch Spider-Man. And then like those gummy worms to the counter, he's like, "What's that about?" Like, and he rewound it and then like paused it when the gummy worms hit the counter,
and then probably had to like go back and check and like, wait, which date did that? What date is that?
Oh my god!
Like, that is such a deep cut.
Oh yeah, and a good one. But I just thought it was super neat. Like, just Marvel being Marvel, dude.
Cool.
Love it. Pineapple.
So this news is not completely new. It came out like a couple weeks ago, but I went back and checked, and it had not been mentioned on.
Yeah, we have not talked about it because I refuse to talk about it
because
I don't know how I feel about it yet.
I'm conflicted, so I'll mention this. So we have confirmed who the villain for Wonder Woman 2 is, and it's going to be Cheetah, which. Okay, cool. Like, a lot of people thought it was going to be Cersei, connected to, more of the pantheon of gods and all that stuff and dealing with magic, which I really would have liked. I think I honestly personally would have preferred that, but still cool, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, good villain.
Yes, but Cheetah is a classic Wonder Woman villain. And Cheetah's also had multiple incarnations, like a lot of characters that have been around for a long time. And if I were a betting man, I would bet that they would go with the incarnation of Barbara and Minerva, who in the comics actually like was a sort of friend of Diana's.
Sure.
But she was also an anthropologist who basically becomes the avatar of a cheetah god after, like, in an
getting bitten by a radioactive cheetah.
Yes, she got bit by a radioactive cheetah that was being experimented. No, she she was an anthropologist, and she stumbled her way into an ancient ritual that she wasn't supposed to be a part of, and got mixed up in it, and then she basically became the avatar for this cheetah god. So there's still a little bit of there's still there's still a pantheon of gods coming into play here. They kind of give some context for why a cheetah. So who knows? But so we had first the announcement that Cheetah was going to be the villain. I was like, all right, cool. Classic Wonder Woman villain set in the 80s. Who knows what this is going to look like? Then there was talk that and here's the thing. Okay, well, first I'll say this. Then it was announced that Kristen Wiig was in talks to play Cheetah. And then
credit where credit's due. Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman from like a couple years ago.
Right.
That Barbara Ann Minerva looks a lot like Kristen Wiig.
She does.
And credit where credit's due on the casting department.
Right.
Like, not a bad choice in terms of looks.
Right. And again, and apparently now it's been confirmed, like, she is going to be, it's no longer discussions that she will be playing Cheetah. And I mean, I have some feelings and thoughts about this. I mean, for one thing, I will say, here's the thing. Kristen Wiig, we all know she's known for her comedy. Now, that doesn't mean that
that's a loose term for what that is.
The majority of her career has been comedy.
Air quotes comedy.
Well, what she does, that whether it's your cup of tea or not.
I
don't know.
I just want to be sassy. I just want to be sassy.
I don't know. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people loved Bridesmaids. I didn't love it, but whatever. But yeah, but that's what she's done most of her career, and that's what she's known for. But I will say, first, definitely not the first comedian to be, or comedy actor to be cast in superhero movies and successfully. I mean, you go all the way back to Batman '89, and Michael Keaton was a comedy actor before he did Batman.
Right.
And again, and there have been many since then. And so who knows? And Kristen Wiig, she has done drama, and she most recently was what was that movie? The Darren Aronofsky movie that just came out
with Kristen Wiig.
She was in it. She wasn't a main character.
Mother?
She was she was in Mother.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. But I mean, she's done other things, and she's actually done some looking at her resume, she's like done some like kind of more artsy, like indie small time things. Like that's not her main stuff. So I'm not going to say that I hate it on the terms of like, just because I'm a firm believer in let's see what they do, because people hated on Ben Affleck before he was announced. But who knows? I do not want Injustice Gods Among Us Cheetah. No, I don't. And I want DC Rebirth Cheetah. Yeah. The one that looks like a cheetah, but I want you to spend a lot of money on special effects. Yes.
So it doesn't look as bad as Justice League did.
Right. All of this, yes. And I'm hoping that's the case because Patty Jenkins did really well with the first Wonder Woman, and she's back for this one. Right. So I'm hoping that the positive trend continues. I will also say Kristen Wiig, now that she's cast, great. I've come to terms with it. I would have preferred other actors be considered. Sure. I think Thandie Newton could have been a great Cheetah, but
oh
again,
man.
No one's asking.
I get down with that.
So she's most recently known, I think, for Westworld. Yep. I think she would have been an awesome Cheetah, but who knows?
She played Maeve.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got. I loved the first Wonder Woman. I'm really excited to see what Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot and the rest of the team does with this. Gal Gadot? I thought it was Gal Gadot, and then apparently I looked up right before the Oscars. Everyone was saying Gal Gadot, and I looked it up, and apparently that's the right pronunciation.
I refuse.
Well, it's her name. I don't know.
I can refuse.
I can do what I want. She's in America now, and that's the land of the free. We can say whatever we want. Sorry, gal. Come be on the podcast.
Come hang out with us.
But
we'll mispronounce your name. I'm really good at that.
Oh man. So we've got that confirmed. So Kristen Wiig is gonna be playing Cheetah in Wonder Woman 2. And I think they go into production for that within the next, like, I think right at the beginning of end of 2018. I think they're starting production on that as well. So.
Oh, really? That long? Oh, well, I guess we're getting the Aquaman movie this year.
Yeah, Aquaman's coming out in November. So.
Yeah, that makes.
I'm sure they're in. I'm sure they're in pre-production for Wonder Woman 2 right now. So.
I just hope they don't call it Wonder Woman 2, but I also hope they don't call it something stupid.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Like, Ralph Breaks the Internet. That is just the dumbest possible name for a sequel.
Anyway, so Wonder Woman 2 or other title to be named Pineapple.
So Jon Favreau had an interview with EW recently, Entertainment Weekly. And he talked about the post-credits scene. Jon Favreau, for those of you that don't know, plays Happy Hogan. He also directed the first Iron Man movie in 2008. So he is the man that started it all. And it was before there was a universe for Marvel in the cinematic realm. There were no real plans to do it, but the movie popped off in an incredible way. And the success of that movie, we got what we have today. So a lot of the interview was kind of like a lot of, did you know that you were starting like a renaissance in the film industry when you did this? And one of the things he was asked about was the post-credit scene. If you don't remember the post-credit scene in the first Iron Man movie from 10 years ago, that's totally fine because I'll sum it up for you. Iron Man walks into his house. Tony Stark walks into his house. And Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, is standing looking out over the ocean. And he starts talking to him about honestly making fun of him for like, I am Iron Man.
I am Iron Man. You think you're cool.
Right. You think you're special? But Jon Favreau was asked about it. And he said that the post-credit scene was not originally planned. And it was actually kind of just a fun thing that they wanted to do.
Oh, man.
So throughout the movie, if you go back and rewatch, there are tons of little Easter eggs in Iron Man 1 that are like, like Dane would lose his mind if he rewatched Iron Man. Just because it's so many callbacks, so much fan service all throughout the movie. And he said that I wanted to include Easter eggs for the fans that they would appreciate. And we thought the idea of a post-credit scene could be fun, even though it wasn't in the script originally. And when he pitched the idea to Kevin Feige, he said Kevin was super into it. He really lit up. We worked on that dialogue together, and we were careful how we selected words. You're part of a bigger world now, a bigger universe, the Avengers initiative. Those all laid breadcrumbs for what was to come. The coolest thing about it, though, is Jon Favreau is the one that pitched the idea of Samuel L. Jackson. Because when the new Avengers, oh my gosh, I'm going to get this so wrong. When the new Avengers was rebooted in 2002, they essentially recast Nick Fury in the comics as Samuel L. Jackson. And Jon Favreau thought it would be super cool to have Samuel L. Jackson in the movie because that's what he looked like in the comics then. And it was like just an extra, like, super cool cameo fan service because he was like, that was who he was modeled after in the comics. So all of that said, there's a lot of swirl going around about like film nerds getting all butthurt about post-credit scenes and how they're not necessary and all this stuff. And like that was all started by like a director and like his Mr. Moneybags just being like, you know, it'd be super cool. You know, it'd be super cool if we did this thing. We should do this thing because it'd be super cool.
And I mean, this was back. It was the first one 10 years ago. They didn't know if it was going to be successful.
Right.
They didn't know if this is back before Marvel planned 10 movies in the future. They didn't know if none of us knew if Iron Man was gonna be good. I remember going into that movie and I was like, man, Iron Man, really? That's the movie they're doing? That's the character they chose? Okay, let's see what's any good.
Yeah.
And
I watched
it with Michael McClendon. We were in New York City and we went to go see it in a theater in New York City together. And we're like, all right, let's sit down and see what this is.
Try this out.
And history was made, and we were never the same again.
To this day. But yeah, I just thought it was a super cool little knowledge nugget. Like, here's this thing that you really love, and it was a joke. Yeah, pineapple.
So we've got like all kinds of crazy stuff going on and in this world, and I've been talking a lot about movies, but take a quick sidestep over to comics. Big surprise.
Not.
So Neil Gaiman, talked about him on this podcast before. One of my favorite authors.
Yeah.
He wrote.
We've talked about him on this podcast a lot.
Yeah, I mean, justifiably so. You guys just recently talked about the Good Omens series that is coming out and all the cool stuff about that. And Neil Gaiman writes so many great things. And one of my favorite things that he wrote, my introduction to Neil Gaiman was the Sandman series that he wrote. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's been up and down of, is there going to be a TV series? Is there going to be a movie? And all this stuff. And through all of this, Neil had written the Sandman series, which you can now buy in 10 volumes plus some extra little bits. And then they just finished like a couple years ago, finished Sandman Overture, which is like a six issue prequel to the series. And it's all fantastic and amazing. The artwork is excellent. The story is really cool. And we, all the fans, just assumed that was going to be it for Sandman in comic book form. There was a spin-off series about Lucifer that Neil Gaiman didn't write for, but he kind of consulted on, and which was the basis for the TV show Lucifer, which is excellent, by the way. You guys should totally watch it. But we just assumed that was going to be it. But then it was just announced that for the 30th anniversary of the Neil Gaiman Sandman, DC and Gaiman have announced that they have bigger plans for Sandman, specifically what they're calling Sandman Universe, which is going to be a series of new ongoing titles. This comes from Entertainment Weekly. Sandman Universe will consist of 4 new series.
Oh my gosh.
There's going to be The Dreaming by Cy Spurrier, Lucifer by Dan Waters, Books of Magic by Kat Howard, and The House of Whispers by Nalo Hopkinson. And in this, it's going to be set after the series that Neil Gaiman wrote, and he will be overseeing the entire line of production, and also will be contributing on a one-shot comic that will be setting the stage for these new titles. And in the story, it follows Morpheus's successor in Daniel, who takes over the role of Dream in these stories. And in the stories, The Dreaming will feature Sandman, who, or specifically his supporting cast. They're trying to keep things running in The Dreaming while Dream's absent. Books of Magic is going to be dealing with some other side characters from the series. The new Lucifer series is going to find Lucifer in a new hell of his own making. It's a small town in which no one can ever leave, and he's also been blinded and has been dealing with this new kind of metaphysical world he's created for himself. And then House of Whispers is going to be another like addition to the dreaming world. So it's going to be all these different series that's basically going to be revolving around more of the side characters, but then all connected to the main character that the story is all about. And this is all going to be a part of what DC and Neil Gaiman have called the Sandman universe. And it's all going to be debuting later this year.
What? Oh my gosh! I need that in my life.
So all of that to say, if you've never read Sandman comic book series, it's great, and you should just go check it out. And like I said, you can find it in all 10 volumes and
it's real good.
Devour it. Yeah, and then there's, like I said, been some other one-offs and things here and there, but then that's all gonna be setting the stage for this entirely new series that I guess I'm gonna have to buy now. So darn. But I'm really excited. I love Neil Gaiman's writing, and his characters and his world. The worlds he builds are really, really cool. So on top of getting look forward to Good Omens, and I guess fearfully seeing what's in the future for American Gods, because who knows what's happening with that now. We get to look forward to more Sandman comics and all the other stuff connected to that. So super exciting.
I agree. I love the Sandman comics, and that excites me greatly to hear that there's going to be some new stuff in that.
Just more of that cool world, and I mean anything that Neil Gaiman writes, I'm gonna read it. So yes, please.
Yes, please.
And so that's all. That's that. So Pineapple.
So Matt Ryan, he's a name that we all know, and if you don't, you should. Matt Ryan played Constantine in 2014 on the CW. He is
underrated. Underrated.
Such a good performance. And he has since been voicing Constantine in like pretty much every animated series or animated version, I guess, that he's popped up in. He was in Justice League Dark as the voice of Constantine, and he has popped around the Arrowverse, which is the combination of the CW shows Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, and Legends of Tomorrow. And with some, keeping this as spoiler free as possible, for those of you that actually enjoy Legends of Tomorrow and aren't caught up, with some events that have occurred on the show, Constantine is going to be joining the cast of Legends of Tomorrow as a series regular in season 4.
Yes!
So super exciting. He is a sassy man. And it's going to be really, really dope to see him like on a regular basis again, honestly.
Yeah. And like you said, his performance is so good, and it's like one of those things that, like, I get the show and the writing for it had a rough start, and they were trying to figure out what direction they wanted to go, and so it makes sense. If you don't get a good start, if a show can't find its legs, then a network might get skittish and drop it. But just even with the off some of the strange writing that was in the series, his performance was golden, and it's such a shame to see that go to waste. Yeah, because like when this is one of those performances that when you see it, it's like, oh, this man was born to play this role.
Oh, for sure.
And you want to see him do it. And so this, if for nothing else, it's exciting to see that he's getting to do that.
Yeah, and it's so good to see him do it well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is a good actor for a comic, like a strong comic book adaptation of Constantine.
Yeah.
I really like it. I really liked the show. I watched the entire first and only season.
Yep.
And it was really fantastic. And seeing him kind of pop in and out of the Arrowverse and then hearing that he's coming back is super exciting for me. And I'm really, really pumped to see how that shakes out. Pineapple.
Looking forward to that. Yeah. All right. So there's been talks about the rumors about a new Indiana Jones movie for a while. The fifth Indiana Jones movie. Yeah, there's been all kinds of speculation going around, and slowly they've given us things, or not leaked things. They've just slowly confirmed, like, okay, for good news, they confirmed that Shia LaBeouf is not coming back.
Yay.
Then there was rumors about, is somebody else going to play Indy? And then they were like, nope, it's still going to be Harrison Ford as an old Indy. They're not changing the guard or anything, at least not for this movie. But here's the thing. So Steven Spielberg has confirmed that the fifth film is. He's confirmed that they are starting production on it. He's confirmed that they're working on it and all this stuff, and which is great, sort of.
That's an opinion.
So,
great.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah. Well, it's great in the way, like, okay, yeah, Steven Spielberg is a great director, but here's the thing. He also did Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I mean, he read that script and then said, yes, let's do that script,
which was a bad idea.
And I mean, and I know since then, like, George Lucas has come out and said, like, the nuking the fridge part was my fault, and Steven Spielberg did it because he was my friend and he indulged me. And Shia LaBeouf has come out and said, yeah, I kind of dropped the ball on that movie. Yeah, even if the writing is silly, it's still on the actor to do a good job.
Right.
Which, on the one hand, yes, I would agree, because there have been plenty of bad movies out there that still have good performances in them. But at the end of the day, the job of a director, if a movie sucks, it's ultimately on the director. And the entire team that worked on Crystal Skull is back for this movie. Yeah, I mean, it.
Listen, I'm just gonna say this, and I'm gonna say it one time, and I'm only gonna say it once.
Go for it.
Do not put aliens in a Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah. See, it's the same creative team.
Do not defend it, Chris.
No, I'm not going to defend it.
I saw that movie with you. I know how you left that theater. You cannot defend it right now.
No, we were all in stunned silence. It was just kind of it was almost like we were having a little bit of PTSD of, like, did that just happen to us?
Like, they just broke Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and I mean, and so it is. I mean, it's the same screenwriter David Cope, who. I mean, yes, he has written movies like Jurassic Park, but he also wrote Crystal Skull. He also wrote this recent Mummy with Tom Cruise. So
that was a bad choice.
If we have to go around with Indiana Jones again, do we really want to bring him back? And that's the whole thing. Like, I mean, the movie won't be out until 2020. They don't start filming until April 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and no disrespect to Mr. Harrison Ford, but he's a very old guy, and
that he is.
I'm also not sure how much I'm going to enjoy watching a very, very geriatric Indiana Jones try to adventure his way around the world. I don't know, man. It's like, and really the ultimate question is, like, and I think what the question that I'm dancing around right now is, Indiana Jones is coming out. Indiana Jones 5 is coming out. And my question is, do we really want that? Do we really need that? And I'm speaking as someone who adores the original trilogy, specifically 1 and 3.
Yeah.
I love Indiana Jones. I love those stories. Those are, I would probably put Raiders of the Lost Ark in my top 5 movies of all time. Like,
right.
If I had to pick 5 Desert Island movies, that would be one of them. I'm pretty sure. I love Indiana Jones,
sure.
and I don't know if this is news that I'm excited about. And that's sad, because, for all the other things, and I understand Harrison Ford's desire to, I guess, revisit characters that he made famous, and I don't know, get that.
At least
paycheck.
George Lucas isn't around this time.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's take the positives where we can find them.
That'll help keep the aliens away, I think.
Yeah.
Because George Lucas is like, you know what? You know what we should do? We should put some unnecessary aliens in it. And that is how the man made his career.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, again, Steven Spielberg is a great director, but for all of the great movies he's directed, he's got some stinkers.
He's got some stinkers. Oh, for sure.
And we're gonna be watching one of his most recent one here in a week, and so we'll see if it's good or not.
Please don't let it be a stinker.
I really hope it's good. Like, I don't have the highest of hopes just because of, again, book adaptations to movie.
Right. Not a strong record there.
I'm just hoping it's not a Dark Tower situation.
Oh my God.
So Indiana Jones 5, it's a thing. It's happening. We're not going to see it for another 2 years.
Because it starts filming next spring.
Yeah, so it's still a ways away. They're undoubtedly still in the early stages of script development and all that stuff, but it's a thing and it's happening, and we're all here for it. So I don't know. I don't know if I would call that a please stop, but it's definitely a
pump the brakes.
Unexcited. Yeah, let's take a step.
Temper expectations.
Think about this for a second, guys. Pineapple.
So this keeps happening to me. Every time we're recording a Pineapple episode, a new trailer drops. And when I say every time, I mean last week and this week. So last week it was 2 weeks ago it was Luke Cage. This week it is Cloak and Dagger. I had fully planned on talking about the new Matrix revival. And then I had changed my mind while we were recording to talk about how Donatello is Bane now. And that's a real thing. Look it up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Batman. The second one. Donatello is for real Bane in the DC universe now. But then I stumbled upon the Cloak and Dagger trailer, which released this morning, which is Tuesday morning, 2 days ago for you fine listeners. This show is coming out on Freeform, which is ABC Family. If you still refuse to call it Freeform because that's a stupid name.
Stupid name.
The trailer doesn't look bad. Given it doesn't look great, it definitely is going to have some cringe-worthy acting moments. But comparing it to a CW Arrowverse show, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. Olivia Holt and Aubrey Joseph are going to be playing the titular characters, Cloak and Dagger. Mm-hmm. And the trailer, I literally just watched it. The trailer is going to showing them first coming to meet each other and finding out their powers as they grow closer to each other. And then there's a voiceover narration that seems to be pulled from some other dialogue in the show where it says one of them must die and one of them must live. Which is kind of like the Cloak and Dagger thing. Cloak is kind of the Grim Reaper-esque shadowy figure, not actually the Grim Reaper, but the shadowy figure.
The dark to Dagger's light.
Right, exactly. But it looks pretty dope, and I think I might just be setting myself up for the worst form of disappointment. But I'm really excited about this show. I really like Cloak and Dagger. They are really, really sweet characters. Just how they not necessarily feed off of each other, but how they exist off of one another. And it's such a neat concept that it makes me a little nervous that Freeform is getting the opportunity to introduce us to them. Mm-hmm. Because it is so unique and it is so cool. But it's one of those things where it could go over really well. Because they are even in the comics, Dagger at least is super young.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll be really interesting. The trailer doesn't look half bad. Check it out if you haven't seen it already. It's coming out on June 7th. So we've still got a little ways to go before it actually hits the airwaves. But I think it'll be okay. Because like when you look at Runaways, given Runaways was on Hulu,
right?
But Runaways was fantastic.
Yeah.
Runaways was so good, and it was a little cheesy at times. It was a little cheesy a lot, frankly. But I felt like it was really strong, and I'm kind of getting that same vibe off of the Cloak and Dagger trailer. So check that out if you haven't. Let us know what you think. Like if you think it's just gonna completely bomb, because I would like to know your opinion, because I literally just watched it like 5 minutes ago. I paused the episode to like make Chris wait so I could watch the trailer, so I could talk about it. But
it's okay because this whole time I've been looking at this Donatello Bane thing, which totally is weird.
Yeah,
and
I
cool
wasn't
at the
making
same
that
time.
up. That's a real thing. That's a for real thing, and he looks pretty dope.
Yeah, it's bonkers, but it's cool. So,
I have the first volume of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Batman, and it is my favorite. So I will most certainly be buying the second one, and enjoying every second of it. Like so good. But
I ended with a little bit of hesitancy looking forward to the future, and you're ending with a little bit of hope to the future. So who knows, guys?
Who knows? Exactly, right? But check out the Cloak and Dagger trailer. Let us know what you guys think on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Pineapple. And that is the end of the show. This is a long one. But thank you guys for sticking around. It's been fun. Check us out on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. BetweenTheCons.com is where you can stream our episodes online. Link out to all of our social media sites. If you haven't already, check out our episode from Monday with Connor Listoka of Riff Tracks and 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back. If for no other reason than to get some opinions on Ready Player One before we drop that roundtable on you in a couple weeks. So check that out. Check out his books. They're linked on our blog as well. And most importantly, tune in on Monday because we're going to be back. We're going to be talking about some trailers. Not some trailers, really, just trailers in general. How trailers have kind of evolved or devolved.
The art of trailers.
Yeah. So check that out. We'll be back on Monday. You guys have a great weekend, and we will talk to you then.
Bye. Dr. K. Mr. Pibb's bastard uncle. Hey, kids, you want some Dr. K?